So from lovely Switzerland, hi everyone and welcome back at Head in the Cloud, Heart in the Community. We are very excited to kick off 2021 with an absolute superstar today. But before Holly goes to introduce our very special guest, I would like to head over to USA to my partner in crime. So Holly, say hi and the stage is all yours.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for, like Izzy said, the first 2021 Head in the Cloud, Heart in the Community episode, where we are doing a virtual adventure featuring women in tech for the next few episodes. So keep joining us because we believe that women in tech are a huge impact to what we're doing. And that said, I couldn't think of anybody more impactful when I think about community than Laurie. We met face to face after tons of emails and Teams and chatting on social media. And when I first met you, Laurie, I have to say I was so impressed because the community truly has a connection with you. They adore you and you were so kind and I got a big hug and you really were who you are on social platforms in real life, and that is huge to me. You're so genuine. You have a passion around the community. So I think I've said enough. Thank you for joining us. Laurie, go ahead and the floor is yours. Give us your own intro as to who you are and what you want to share with this community.
You're so kind. Thank you, Holly. I think it's really easy when you love your job and you're passionate about something to just be real about how you feel. And truly, that's how I feel. I am the Microsoft Teams community lead within Microsoft Teams engineering. And I really feel, I think on the Microsoft Tech community, in my bio, I say I have the best job in the world. And I really truly feel like I'm so lucky to do what I do because, it just gives me an opportunity to talk to so many people who are also so passionate about our technology. I've learned a ton in the 15 years that I've been at Microsoft. Being the community lead within engineering is unique, and not all teams have that. And it's pretty cool to be able to have such a customer focus on our product and be able to bring our engineering leadership and PMs, everybody who's involved actually building the product with the people that are using it. And then to take the people that are most passionate about the product and really train them and teach them and make sure that they have the tools to go out and share that knowledge with communities. It's just, it's an amazing job. And I'm glad that shines through.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And so my first question was going to be about the passion you have for community. But since we've hit on that, I would like you to share with all of the audience and the women in tech that are watching right now. Tell us about your career journey. How did you get into Microsoft?
Oh, this is something that, I love to talk about because people often assume that if you work for Microsoft or a large, even a small, whatever, if you're in engineering, if you're in IT, that you must have a computer science degree or you went to school and focused on tech. And that was not my journey. So I thought I wanted to be a teacher. So when I went to school, no, I realized really quick in my first few months in college that I was not cut out to be a teacher. So I moved, I changed directions, and I went to a small liberal arts school in Columbia, Missouri, in the middle of the U.S. And it was a great experience. And I really had a lot of opportunity there to connect with a lot of different people from, really mostly the U.S. certainly, but just different types of people that I was used to being around. And I traveled a lot in the U.S. during college. I ended up graduating with a communications degree and started doing event planning. And when I say event planning, these are large scale, big corporate, not necessarily corporate events, but big. People had to buy tickets. They're ticketed events. There are 100,000 people, festivals outside on the beach, big stuff. And it was really, really fun doing that. But I traveled a lot and I worked a lot of long hours. And it was a very small company that I worked for. So it kind of got thrown into having to do everything, a little bit of everything. And it forced me to learn a lot of things, but juggling was probably on top of the list there. But what I found was after about 8 years of doing those events that, well, first of all, the market started to crash. And so the business was not doing well. So I had to find something else to do. And I actually got picked up by a recruiter who put me in a contract with Live Meeting. And I don't know if you remember Live Meeting, that might be showing my age, but that was a long time ago. And so I was able to take my corporate big, event planning skills and transfer those over into an online virtual event experience. And at first I was like, I don't know anything about tech. This is 17 years ago. I don't know anything about tech. I don't know what I'm doing. And they said, no, there's a lot of people that come from your background that we've actually hired into this event management role. It's just transferring those skills and doing it virtually. And I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. It was a 1-year contract. I fell in love with it. It was just, it came very natural because those skills transferred so well. But then it opened up my eyes to this whole new world of tech and learning new skills and being around just incredibly intelligent people all day, every day. And I fell in love with it. So I did my contract, went and worked for a partner for a year, and then came back to Microsoft as soon as my full-time position came open. And I've been here ever since. So here in tech. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Roundabout.
Yeah, we always love to hear the journeys, and especially how people have taken like detours and so on to actually end up into the tech industry. So, Laurie, you also recently started the Women in Teams Microsoft Teams channel. And I have also joined, of course. And thank you so much for the warm welcome. I mean, I've been seeing that every person who joins is getting like a personal introduction from you. So I think that's really amazing. I think that's very thoughtful. It makes us feel very much included and welcome. So thank you so much for doing that. So for the people who are now watching or listening the show and have not heard about the Women in Teams Microsoft Teams channel, could you please tell us more, like what was the idea behind it? What's the group for? And especially how can other fellow women in tech join?
Yeah, there's a lot of women in organizations, and we didn't have one for Women in Teams. One of the things that I do as community lead is I work with the user groups and community events worldwide. And so I've gotten to see a lot of what people are doing and sharing knowledge and helping each other with their team's deployments and usage and adoption and around the product itself. There's so many organizations that are doing that, whether they're MVPs doing those or just passionate people around the world that are really into teams. And so I love being a part of those, speaking at them, going and talking, listening, attending, supporting them however I can. And, one of the things that we realized was we have this internal Women in Teams organization where we do some service projects. We do we have regular guest speakers. We have a yearly event that we have called Boost. And we do a lot to support one another within our own team. And I thought, it would be a really great way to kind of extend something similar to our external communities. And as you both know, women in tech is a small percentage. I don't even know what the actual percentage is now, but I know that we are very much outnumbered. And even when you look beyond that, just the way that, women typically, and I want to say always or everyone, but a lot of women in business or in, their roles, they're not as apt to speak up or ask questions or, be the first to raise their hand, participate. And I've done, reading and, talked to a lot of people and witnessed firsthand, even in an MVP call, if we have 100 people on the call, it's very rare that, there will be women talking as much as men. And of course, they're outnumbered, but that's a whole nother thing that we're working on. But, so I just really wanted to create opportunity to learn from one another, to have a safe place to ask questions, to support one another, to collaborate, get to know each other. Our community, I think, is huge, but at the same time, there's a lot of people, including myself a couple of years ago, that didn't even know really what community was. Like, there's these user groups, and so what, that just sounded like a bunch of people that wanted to go sit in a room and learn about something, and that can be wonderful, but there's this whole other component around it, and just getting involved with something. And I think, just like we learn in different ways, we kind of do our job in different ways. We learn about our job in different ways, and learning from each other external from our team or even our company is very empowering. And so I wanted to create an environment where we have an opportunity to just get together and learn from one another, share opportunities. If there's a speaking opportunity, not everybody knows about those. Not everybody thinks of themselves as being able to do that. So just empowering one another and creating a space to do that. So we created the Women in Teams community, and it's going to be largely driven by community. Of course, I'm there to support from the product group, but we really want it to be driven by the community and serve the community how the community wants to be served. And of course, everybody is welcome. It's not limited to women. It is Women in Teams community, but everybody is welcome. We have men in there. In fact, I'm looking at having a couple of our MVP men come and speak in February, and just kind of give a male perspective and as to working with other women, and ways in which to all communicate and learn how each other communicates. And so, yeah, we're gonna meet monthly, and I've got, of course, big ideas, but sometimes I have to, slow down and just take it one step at a time. So we're gonna start with our monthly meetings, and I'm really excited. So yeah, anybody is welcome to sign up. We've got a team set up where we have regular, collaboration, and you're welcome to interact with people there, and then we'll get together once a month as of right now.
Well, I think that that's beautiful, because you definitely take your heart and you drive it into all the different areas. And we think about diversity and inclusion. And like I said, I saw that personally, the way your MVP community talked to me about you when I was at the MVP Summit, and, just seeing what you're doing for women in tech, and making it about, hey, we're calling it Women in Tech, but anybody can come because all perspectives are valued. And you just recently did a blog post that I thought was so heartwarming. It was just welcoming everybody into 2021. And it has been a crazy year. And that's kind of how we started this, was, hey, we want to shine a light on the positives that have come out of 2021. And so I have 2020, sorry. Yeah. I think we're all trying to forget that even happened. But I actually have a twofold question for you. So one, I loved the welcome. And in that welcome, you started a new initiative. You talked about Star of the Month. So I would like you to talk a little bit about that initiative. And then the B part of that question is, when we do reflect in 2020 and what Teams has provided for community and doing our job and kids. And Teams has done so much. I would love for you to talk about the how we've evolved Teams, some of the changes, the updates that you've personally seen, and how it's impacted us during COVID. So that's a big question. Go for it.
That's a big question. Yeah, we could have a whole nother episode on that, but I'll do my best to keep it high level. So the first thing, the Star of the Month. So, it sounds a little bit like you're back in school, like Student of the Month, Star of the Month. But, we were thinking, there's so many people out in the community that do so much for community. A lot of those people are recognized with an MVP award, but not everybody has the ability, the time, or the drive, even the want to be an MVP. And so, it's I love our MVP community. From, I think both of you know that, and the MVPs during it, as well as our own product group, knows how close I am and how much I want to make that, just a fruitful relationship between engineering and MVPs. And I think we've been really successful with that. But there are so many other people out there that are so passionate about the product, and not only sharing knowledge about teams, but we're, going out there and talking about it or putting things on social. Beyond that, like really trying to take our product and improve it. And so being in engineering, that's important to us. Quality is so important. Innovation is so important. So what are the things that people are contributing? And there's so many people doing it, it's hard, but what are people doing to really not only share knowledge, but impact the product? And so we wanted to take a moment and just call out some of those people. And, it's hard just to, do that in any informal way, really. But so we wanted to create an award, and that's why we're calling it the Community Star Award. And it's really just an opportunity for people in the community, not people that are already have received the MVP award, because we know that's separate and everybody's doing so much there already. But people within the community that are doing things to not only share with community, but also impact the product. And so our first award went to Mark Vale, who is in the UK and has done incredible work with Comms First. And such a great event. And, I worked with him quite a bit when we were going to have the in-person event. And I was so excited to go back to the UK and be part of that. And he was doing some just fun and innovative things on site. And then COVID, right? How many times have we said that this year? And then COVID.
And
it's like, yeah, okay. So virtual we went, and the speed at which he took that event and spun it up into a virtual event, and the new and different ways he utilized Teams, including, doing some virtual reality, which nobody had really done in any of the community events. He did some happy hours with virtual reality and has since done sessions doing that. And all of the integration that he did with his registration system and the way that he created accounts and the automation that he worked on to make the registration and sign up process and overall delivery a success. He did an excellent job. He did it in a very short amount of time, which so many people had to deal with, in their own businesses and at home with COVID. And so we wanted to take that moment to recognize Mark and the great work that he did. And, there's so many people doing amazing things, and I'm looking forward to seeing what people are submitting. So if you do know of people that are doing a one-time effort or ongoing effort in ways that they're reaching out to community, but also impacting or making an impact on the product, we'd love to know about them.
Oh, I'm sure Holly and I will have tons of people to send in.
Good.
So Laurie, so speaking of that virtual world, so like I know for us, for example, social media has been like a very big part to get indeed through 2020 to still stay connected with our friends and especially with the community. So speaking of that, you nearly have 5,000 followers on your Twitter account and growing, of course. So can you tell us how you use your social media accounts to engage with the community?
Oh, my kids would just be, if they were here listening to this, they would just be laughing at me right now. Social media for me has just always been a way to stay connected to the people close to my life that I care about, and still is. I am on social media. I post the occasional kid picture. Right now, there's no vacation pictures, but in the old days, but Twitter, Twitter is one of those things. I actually remember, and in fact, Madeline Driscoll, my first manager at Microsoft, was the first person, and this is probably, I don't know, 16, 17 years ago when I was a contractor, maybe, I don't know, 15, I don't know how old Twitter is, but a long time ago, okay? And she first talked about Twitter in the lunchroom at Microsoft, and I was like, Twitter, okay, what is this? And then she tried to explain how you can mention, and there's the tags, and I was like, okay, whatever. And many years went by, and then I remember at Ignite one year, I thought, okay, fine. They were doing all the hashtags up on the big screens at Ignite, and I was like, okay, I guess I should get involved with this. And at the time, I was doing, I don't know, I think I was doing some sort of customer programs with probably at the time Skype for Business or Link. even then. So anyway, I wasn't in the same role. Now it makes complete sense for me to be using Twitter. It's a way for me to see what's going on. Really, that's why I got it, why I started using it mostly, is because I want to see what events are taking place, what are people doing, what types of things are people working on, what issues are there? Are there things we need to escalate to different parts of our team? Are there gaps in our documentation that people are talking about? I just needed to keep my my hand on the pulse of, my finger on the pulse of exactly what is happening out there in the world. And I know there's Facebook groups too. I'm kind of a fly on the wall in one of the Facebook Microsoft Teams groups that's out there. And so it's just a way for me to stay connected. I'm not, trying to get a lot of followers or, I'm kind of out there looking and just listening and answering questions when I can, or, pointing people in the right direction. But, as community lead, I need to know what the community is thinking and feeling and doing. And so that's why I'm out there. As far as what I share, I'm really just letting people know what I know. If there's something cool, I'm forwarding it out to people. When there's product updates or great blog posts that I think are important for people, definitely highlight those. So that's why I'm out there.
I think that's so relevant right now because we're all trying to figure out how to stay connected and how we can use social in a positive. So I think that was an awesome piece of advice for all of us that are trying to learn the best practices for all social media tips and tricks. But you mentioned that you are a mom. I know personally that you're a mom of two, and being that I have two little girls, I'm always trying to think of, in my career, what are some lessons I can share with them? And so I'm curious to know, as a mom of two, you've done such an amazing job running a technical community. What are some things that you've learned in your career before or, after, speaking of, that you would want to share with your kids, that lessons that you've learned that you would want to pass on to them?
I have mom guilt, like I think many of us parents have, whether that's mom guilt or dad guilt or uncle guilt or aunt guilt or whatever it is you have. But when you're, you're a parent of children and working full time and, trying to keep up with the demands of life, including right now a pandemic, it can be rough. It can be hard to manage it all. And, my work-life balance isn't perfect. There are times where and I'm a single mom too. So, throwing that out there adds another layer of complexity. The nice thing is that their dad is really wonderful. And, I take advantage of the time when they're with their dad to work. And that's kind of what I try to do, is the days that I'm spending with them, I really try to limit my off hours, at least when they're awake. My kids are a little older, so they're 12 and 14. So, now they're self-sufficient. They're both in middle school, 6th grade and 8th grade, and they're managing their own virtual experience really, really well. So I'm very lucky in that capacity because I know that a lot of people haven't had that experience and it's been really, really difficult. So I'm very thankful for that they manage their own schedules and, are being successful, though it's frustrating for them, not being in school right now. As far as what I hope they take away is, my daughter is my youngest, she's 12. And, I really want to see her mom as just a strong, somebody who's strong, somebody that powers through and makes it on her own, and knowing that she can do that too. And same for my son, knowing that women, hopefully someday when, if he chooses to be with somebody, that he can support them and know how important a career can be to somebody, and how when you're passionate about something, sometimes that takes time. At the same time, I'm really trying to share what I do with them, because neither of them would tell you, at least a few years ago, especially, that they wanted to be in technology. And nobody, I remember going to college and thinking, people would ask me what I wanted to do. And I was like, I don't know, because I really didn't know what my options were. I knew people at that age. I knew people went into offices, and people worked at banks, and people worked at grocery stores, and there were teachers, but I really didn't know, like, what do people that go to offices, what do they do? And, I just tried to share with them, a little bit about my day and about my job, and introduce them to some of the people. In fact, I was so lucky before COVID last December to take my daughter to Paris. We had a community event that I was speaking at, and it happened to be her 12th birthday, or no, her 11th birthday. And oh my gosh, it was such a great experience. She was actually our
go to Disney.
We did not make it to Disney. No, but we had an incredible time. Johanna and I were presenting, and she was our demo buddy, and was able to be on stage, and did all of the Microsoft Teams calling features, which was really cool. So making her a part of that, and kind of bringing her in and showing her what I do, I think she has a newfound respect for my work. And, hopefully this year we'll be in person at the European Collaboration Summit in Germany. And that's my son's trip that he gets to go on. So I'm just trying to expose them and, make them aware of not only technology and the cool things that are going on that they've been exposed to quite a bit this year, but also travel and meeting new people and being exposed to different cultures, which, I didn't have a lot of growing up. And I'm just really excited to share that part of my life with them.
Also, definitely the social part, right? So you are the person that goes to an office, right? That works behind a computer, but actually you also travel and you go out to events. So it's really a lot more than just being in an office, or this time working from home. So Laurie, if we could fast forward, so you were just speaking about like how before, like you took your daughter to Paris, you want to take your son to the next event. So let's say we just fast forward to the day that the world is COVID free, so it doesn't exist anymore. What's the absolute first thing that you're mostly looking forwards to actually do in a post-COVID world?
Oh my gosh, for sure, 100% is travel. Like I cannot wait to get on an airplane. I can't wait to, I don't know if it's ever going to go back to normal, but I'm a hugger. And like Holly said,
so are we.
I just feel, I don't know. So sometimes I'm nervous and like, I don't think everybody's a hugger, but I'm a hugger. And, that's been really hard for me. It's just seeing people, not being able to scoop them up and, wrap my arms around them and say hello. So, I don't know if we'll be able to do that, but certainly just being in person with people and having a conversation. And, our technology, we've been, Holly asked earlier about, just Teams and the technology. And, we've done a tremendous job, I think, in scaling and making sure people have access to Teams, and providing resources to make sure that they can get up and running quickly. And, there's a lot of COVID response that we had just based on, the conditions at the time. And, we've done a great job with that. And having the interaction over the computer is wonderful, and being able to have the gallery view and see people in a setting that doesn't look like you're sitting at your computer feels better, I think, to a lot of us, but it isn't the same. And I just can't wait to see people in person and be around them, and hopping on a plane to do that is going to make me so happy. Like my passport has dust on it, and it's making me sad.
Well, I can tell you the next time that we see each other, I am up for a big old post-COVID hug. I love it. I want to say thank you for being on this episode and starting our 2021 journey with such a positive, just all of your advice has been so positive, and I love seeing the passion around community. And I think that the one thing that I took away from this was to remind people that you can be in tech without being super techy. It's about finding what your passion is and bringing that into tech and connecting with people in the way that you do, and the way that you are so forward thinking as to how do we bring diversity and inclusion? How do we take someone who could be an MVP but doesn't have the ability to showcase what they're doing, and showing our children and people that you can have a career and be passionate about it, and bringing people along with you. This was a beautiful episode, and I'm so happy to have you on the show. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your story. It was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you both for having me. It's been really fun.
Well,
Thank
for
you so
everyone
much,
that
Laurie.
has joined us today, thank you so much for joining this episode. We look forward to all the next episodes coming in the very near future. Everybody, take care.
And take a heart. Yay. All right.